Hello everybody and welcome to episode 5 of the Snowflakes podcast. Our first topic this week is Boris Johnson's highly embarrassing speech. On last Monday, Boris was giving a speech to the Confederation of British Industry in South Shields. First of all, we're just going to watch the speech. You'll be able to see it if you're watching on YouTube, and if you're listening on Spotify, then you won't be able to see it, but hopefully you'll still be able to hear
That's
it.
another reason you should just watch the videos.
Indeed.
I know, we should watch it on Spotify. We should watch it on Spotify.
Did I say watch it on Spotify?
Listen to it on Spotify.
If I said watch it on Spotify, I meant listen to it on Spotify. Anyway, the video...
Listen to it on Spotify. Listen to it on both.
Videos in
Okay.
description, just watch it separately, do
Okay,
whatever
enough
is
detail.
required by
Video
the YouTube
now.
algorithms.
So with safer streets, with great local schools, with fantastic broadband,
They're not yet.
Something about schools having
CBI
broadband.
on there.
Yeah, to the Confederation of British
Forgive me.
Industry.
forgive me.
It's so awkward to
Yesterday
watch.
I went, as we all must, to Peppa Pig World. I don't know if you've been to Peppa Pig World. Hands up anyone who's been to Peppa Pig World? Not enough. I was a bit hazy what I would find at Peppa Pig World, but I loved it. And Peppa Pig World is very much my kind of place. It has
He just went in. Peppa Pig
very
World.
safe streets,
Safe streets.
discipline in schools, heavy emphasis on new mass transit systems, I notice, even if they're a bit stereotypical about Daddy Pig. But the real lesson for me, going to Peppa Pig World, and I'm surprised you haven't been there, was about the power of UK creativity. Who would have believed, Tony, that a pig that looks like a hairdryer, or possibly a sort of Picasso-like hairdryer, a pig that was rejected by the BBC, would now be exported to 180 countries with theme parks both in America and in China, as well as in the New Forest.
What?
And,
What the hell is the New Forest?
and a business that's worth at least £6 billion
So the
to
captions
this
here
country.
are freaking
£6
out.
billion
And I thought it was because the
and
captions are freaking out, but
counting.
it's actually
Now,
what he's saying.
I think
It's
that
like-
is pure genius, don't you, Peppa Pig? No government in the world, no Whitehall civil servant would conceivably have come up with Peppa.
Okay.
What am I?
I'm just saying,
Prime
that
Minister
felt
Boris
a
Johnson.
lot... Watching that, the awkwardness felt a lot longer than 2 minutes.
Yeah.
Like, honestly.
God, that felt like I've aged
Oh,
10 years.
anyway,
I pity you for watching that segment.
so,
Yeah.
well, we apologise. So obviously, as you could see / hear, Boris first, he fumbled with his notes for about 20 seconds. And when you're being recorded, 20 seconds feels like forever. I think he said, like, forgive me 3 times.
Yeah, I can confirm.
But yeah, genuinely, like, I mean, I don't get, like, this is really isn't what the takeaway is, because he kind of just had a mental breakdown about Peppa Pig. But
I mean,
how do you lose your notes as Prime Minister doing a speech?
I think it's to
He
be
had them
fair.
in, like, A4. Sorry, Corey.
To be fair, the entire thing's probably just another publicity stunt.
I don't
Yeah.
think
No.
so, because he does things like, remember when he went on a rant about Kermit, about how we should be green like Kermit, or what it was. So I think he'd planned the Peppa Pig thing. He just messed up a
Yeah.
transition into it, and then just kind of tried to rant off the top of his head.
You know what, I honestly think he just lost it. And I'm not even, like, making it, like, because think about it, for, like, the past 2 or 3 years, this has been the most pressure a world leader would ever, face, the whole, even with Brexit and stuff. I think, I mean, he's just genuinely lost the plot.
You
Well,
have
yeah.
to be like responsible for things though if you're under pressure.
Well, he's
Boris
not-
isn't
he's not being
for anything.
responsible.
He does
Yeah.
nothing.
He goes on holiday, he doesn't listen to expert advice, he's not being responsible, and now this is just him just trying to, like, spitball his way
No.
through another interview.
So I genuinely think he's just lost it.
To be honest, I don't actually, like, I don't know the context of the speech he was giving.
I mean, that's about as much
I have
context
no
as
idea.
you need, probably.
But I have no idea what Peppa Pig World has to do with any of it. Like, that was so strange.
I think people
Yeah.
who you're probably wondering what Peppa Pig World has to do with Peppa Pig at this point.
Because he tries to praise British industry in the
There's
strangest
a
ways.
loose link. I see the British invented a thing, becomes a British invented industry, becomes a very successful worldwide industry. I get the idea
But
he's going
he's
for.
talk about, like,
Have you been to Peppa Pig World?
I'm not,
Oh,
unfortunately.
it's
I mean, according to our glorious leader, we should probably all go to Peppa Pig
But,
World.
like, he
Not
should-
enough of us
He
have.
could have talked about, like, old English industry, or, like, actual things which have, like, relevance, and things which will actually people can relate to instead of
Like
Peppa
the
Pig
coal
World.
mines. Oh.
oh, wow.
Yeah.
Well,
I think so. after he went on this Peppa Pig strange thing, the journalists who were at the I don't know if it was just the journalists, but anyway, people who were observing him giving a speech just started laughing at him. And we've done this before on this podcast. Were they laughing with him?
Yeah.
Or were they laughing at him?
No, I definitely think
It's not
this
even
was
a question.
I think this wasn't at him.
Yeah.
We were laughing at him.
Yeah.
And if you're gonna be laughing at a speech at the Confederation of British Industry, you're gonna be laughing at them. It's not exactly the most interesting.
That's true. That's
Also,
true. Although he will try and
wasn't
make
like
it.
Peppa Pig not even made in the UK? Or am
I think
I think it
I'm
was.
pretty sure it was.
I think
Sure
you might
it
be
was-
thinking about like Hello Kitty. or
I'm
something.
sure it was made in Canada or something.
Well, we'll put a fact check here.
Yeah.
If it
Tell
was
us in
made
the comments.
But no, seriously, it's more than embarrassing. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, if I stood up and started doing a rant in the middle of a speech, like it's just I can never do it.
The thing is, because he wants his speeches, he wants them to be memorable, and he wants people to watch, and that's why. Because we just watched it, the Kermit one
That's
we
true.
watched. So I think he was planning for this just to be another crazy Boris.
What
but
you,
then
what
it
you,
just
what you
evolved.
say there's very interesting because, look, if he hadn't done this, there wouldn't have been millions of people watching Boris Johnson give a speech at the Confederation of British Industry.
But the main important thing is though, usually when he does something like the Kermit the Frog thing, there's a message in tow, which is the climate change. What was the message here?
He literally
British
screwed up.
Industry,
But he didn't get that across.
Yeah, there's
because
no message.
I genuinely think he did lose his notes and then tried to remember off the top of his head, but then all like, whether it's pressure or whether he is just an idiot.
I mean, being a politician for a decade, you can't remember a speech. I like.
Yeah,
at least-
like even the people who did like the presentations in secondary school
Yeah.
were.
Yeah, just
doing
remember, we
fucking-
weren't allowed for our English GCSE speaking. We weren't allowed notes. Were
He was more convincing when he was
I
doing.
think we were.
Well, shit.
Yeah.
Ignore me. Well,
But
I
he was
wasn't.
more convincing when he had COVID and when he gave that that speech and he sounded on like death's door.
Mm.
Like he was more convincing then than now because he just sounds like a broken record. His
So-
time has run up.
Yeah, as we know, Boris Johnson is under the most pressure a British Prime Minister has been since the 1940s. Is he just like beginning to collapse now? Then is that what's happening?
I think so.
think so.
Honestly.
And almost fairly so. Like you can't expect people.
Yeah.
Like whether he should be cracking under the pressure as a prime minister, whether it should be something you take into account, able to handle pressure.
I think we need to look at his character because he's extremely narcissistic, right?
Yeah.
And I think because he wants every decision to be made by him, he wants to be in charge, and a combination of being a total idiot and a lack of skill, and then all this pressure, it really just if you're not good at doing something and you're the one who's doing it all, and it's a crazy time, it's just not a good combination.
So-
I mean, at this point, I think that like all of just Boris is just a publicity stunt. It's all just fake, and all it is just to instill like frustration and or what the other thing into people.
Yeah. Because people
like-
forget. Oh, sorry.
I feel like, yeah, sorry.
I think people forget as well. At the start of COVID, it was kind of drowned out because of everything Trump was doing under his administration. But there was a lot of like science denial under Boris as well, and he just doesn't listen to people. And mixed with that in his own playground in his mind with the narcissism, he is just like beginning to collapse. It's falling apart. The facade is fading. And
Yeah.
So Joe, a couple of weeks ago, you on this show, you said that I think Boris Johnson's a very smart man. Do you stand by that
Yes.
statement that you made?
I do because I think every decision he makes is calculated,
That-
but I think he had a calculated decision. So whatever the thing was to do with Peppa Pig, I don't think he just went off on a tangent. I know he said he kind of lost it, but I wasn't truly serious about that.
Is it even a tangent anymore? I don't know what the other math thing is, but it's like it's got to be like a line that like intersects, but then sort of goes off on one into the fourth dimension.
But yeah, I stand by my point. He's carefully calculated, but I think the pressure here.
This still went wrong to
This
him,
went
though,
wrong.
didn't
Well,
it?
the thing
Yeah.
is, you could guarantee that Peppa Pig was on those notes. Some
Yeah,
people just
yeah.
lost the notes.
Mm.
No,
It is like again back to the losing the notes thing. Just how
Yeah.
how is he this incapable of like?
I don't know. Anyone can get lost in the speech, I guess.
Yeah, but
I get that.
The
He doesn't
mental
do that very
capacity,
often.
but
He
the
doesn't
mental
do it very
capacity to keep track of notes as a prime minister, as a leader of the country.
And
Yeah.
yeah, winging
Yeah.
one speech that probably nobody's going to see in front of the Confederation of British Industry. You'll be fine. You should be fine. Even like a normal MP should be
Just
fine
have,
doing
like,
that. The average person, if they know what they're talking about, should know how to wing a speech, and especially not go on. And
Yeah, if he had any knowledge of his topic, then he'd be fine. He'd know what he's talking about. But he probably doesn't have any knowledge of his
I
topic.
mean, I'd like to see. I mean, we're probably never going to see, but I'd like to see what he planned to talk about.
Yeah.
And what the whole. I need to. after the podcast have a look what the actual whole, I'm sure it's something to do with industry, because he did go into a bit about British industry and like
Yeah.
British made things.
British
so, like,
creativity.
I think the context won't really add too much because it was just a collapse. Like at the end of the day, he did just screw up.
He
Yeah.
probably had like a really well thought out segue that he was really proud of,
Yeah.
and then when he didn't have it on his notes. Speaking of segues, I'm not going to do that.
the new COVID variant, there's enough.
I should have segued that. I was going to segue onto something else as a joke.
What's it
but
called?
Omicron.
Omicron.
Anyway.
Thank you.
if you can't tell, we've got a new topic, which is the new COVID variant. Omicron.
Omicron.
I think it's Omicron.
It sounds
like they're looping through all of Looping. They're going through all like the Latin letters.
Is it Greek?
But you can't do she
Might be
apparently, because that sounds like the Chinese premier.
Yeah,
You can't name a COVID variant after him.
They've
banned.
skipped one of the Greek letters. That's a thing.
Really?
Have you already had
Yeah.
like alpha variant?
No, it was Delta variant.
Yeah, there was
Delta was
that
from
was the
India, wasn't it?
famous one, yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, COVID's
Yeah.
back. Yahoo!
In the past
I mean,
week,
was it ever gone?
No.
in the past week, a heavily mutated COVID variant labelled as a variant of concern by the World Health Organization and named Omicron. Don't crucify me. Has been detected in countries including the UK. The British government have reintroduced mask wearing on public transport and in schools and colleges.
We have to do that today.
Yep.
Yeah. They
However,
actually did a thing.
however, many Conservative MPs still don't wear masks in the House of Commons.
Wow.
That can only be a good thing. That's just fewer Conservative MPs.
In the long run.
It's more conservative
Tories out as
than
an
to
acceptable
expert advice.
But they're Conservative MPs. If it was people, then it would be fine.
Chloe, no. Okay.
Oh no.
I need to take that a step
The
further
main
now.
That was
question
too far.
is
Anyway,
another
it's
lockdown
back.
inevitable?
Well, yeah. It's tough to say.
If we
what do you
take the way that the government managed the previous COVID everything,
Yes.
yes. If they manage it in a way that's actually logical and in a way that makes decisions, probably not.
Maybe
but we know
so.
they won't do that.
Yeah, I mean, I think if we, sorry, I'll come to you in a second, but like if we do more low-level prevention things like this, like increasing the, sanitizing, cleaning, masks, and maybe bring back social distancing.
Yeah.
I think the cleaning of things is a thing that's not really useful. I don't quote me on this, but there's it was like the first level of just people saying clean things, it will probably help, and then it turns out that it doesn't actually. That's not a very high percentage of the spread of coronavirus.
Oh yeah.
It's like the massively high percentages are through air, which is why you need to open doors, wear masks, etc.
I think though cleaning things it's easy to do. Just wipe down a desk.
Yeah.
But anyway,
I think they still do that.
doing the low-level stuff like that, getting your vaccines and stuff, like keeping up to date on that. I think there is considerably high amount of people who haven't got the vaccine.
How
Including you, Joe. Would you like
Which
to
I'll be getting
discuss
this
that?
tomorrow.
We are all
With
getting
good
our second
snowflakes.
jabs, correct?
Yeah, I got my-
Do you
I got
have
my
your
left.
second jab already, Corey?
Probably yes.
Yeah, I mean, we have the first vaccinated 16-year-old here.
Actually, yeah, you were like the first, weren't you?
Well,
I mean,
We don't know what happened.
Yeah.
And we have the anti-vaxxer.
No,
Mr. Samuels.
No, I just haven't got. Generally, haven't got around
Speaking
to it
of, I had a really interesting thought the other day, which is, I'm assuming anti-vaxxers don't lock their front doors because they've heard of people who had their front doors locked who still got broken into.
Wow.
I mean, that's the same logic. So
I mean, yeah. I mean, you make a joke out of it, but really, it's just the whole illogical process of being an anti-vaxxer.
Yeah.
Hey, Arthur. Anyway, what I want to say.
Yeah.
to it.
How do we all feel about masks being back on everywhere again?
I mean, I don't speak for the British public, but I quite enjoyed lockdown, I just wasn't doing much.
I mean, we talk about
I
lockdown,
said
but
masks, but that's cool.
I mean, to be honest, masks, I like them. They keep your face warm when you're walking through the park in -2,
I mean, yeah. Honestly, no big deal. Right?
They
Yeah,
heat
I've
up your
been-
glasses, but
I've just been wearing masks the entire time in college anyway, because
Yeah.
I caught 2 colds in the first month, and I think everyone did anyway, but
Yeah.
I just don't want to catch colds, and I don't want to catch COVID either, but it helps with both. It's brilliant.
And the
That's
thing
how
is,
masks work.
if you've been taking the buses, then you'll realise there have been announcements. Please still wear face masks on
yeah,
public
but
transport.
nobody.
Yeah, even before these new rules. So it hasn't fully eased off, but I think a lot of people will be angry hearing that these restrictions.
Well,
are
because
being
the
in place.
government's entreated on my liberties, everyone.
Yeah, it's not a founded anger at all, because
Yeah.
I every so often go home with a mask on because I forget that I'm wearing.
I think the only time masks have ever become annoying for me is in classrooms when we're learning. I mean, it's not the biggest deal. I can do it. It just
We've never been forced to wear in class.
no, we have.
So,
in secondary
yeah,
school,
really?
we had. Do you know
That was a period. I think you were away for a lot.
Oh yeah. But yeah, in secondary school, that's the only time it ever truly annoyed me. But apart from that,
So,
genuinely.
moving on then, the lockdown. Do we think that's inevitable or not then? Like,
I don't think inevitable at this
Yeah.
point. I think it can be avoided, and I think there's a lot of like people are being very wary of the new variant.
Yeah.
I don't think a lockdown like we've seen before.
I
Like
don't think
everything
I don't
closed.
think there's going to be another national lockdown.
What we have seen though is a lot of people like openly advocating for there to be another lockdown. Like, do we think that there should be like now or soon if the cases like rising?
I mean,
quickly?
I don't know if we can.
Well, at the end of it, it's not us. It should be, the experts, like the scientists who weren't listened to in the first lockdowns. That's why the first lockdowns happened, because we didn't listen to the people who actually had ideas of what was happening. So if now we just actually listen to people who are qualified and have made a career out of like being doctors and
Smart people
yeah,
who know what they're talking
researchers,
about.
then we can avoid another lockdown, definitely.
I think like just I don't think we should. I don't know. I don't think we should dive headfirst into it. I think we should definitely increase the low level stuff, like I said, and then just see, and then maybe do some those circuit breaker things, or like the local regional ones, or.
I mean, the other thing is that if every country in the world did like a full massive lockdown for like 2-3 weeks, then we just eliminate coronavirus along with every other disease imaginable.
I don't think that would happen, but yeah.
But
it
New
would
Zealand-
happen in
New
theory.
Zealand
We
might
did.
do.
It won't happen
But what we
because
see from
countries
what
won't
we,
be able to do
what we
that.
see from a lot of people like advocating for there to be another lockdown are people from like quite like privileged middle class backgrounds like me, but like who wouldn't be as badly affected by a lockdown as someone from a working class background.
People get.
And I
affected.
think it's very easy. Sorry, Gary. I think it's very easy to say like, oh, there should be a nationwide lockdown when you won't be that badly affected.
I
by
don't think
it.
there should be a nationwide lockdown. I don't
Yeah,
think.
yeah. I mean, at the moment, given the current information, probably not. I was just saying that that if we did do that and we did it perfectly, then we can eliminate all diseases.
I believe.
I honestly, I
Well,
hated,
no.
I
This-
hated both
Well, we
the
probably
lockdowns
could.
personally because like you couldn't talk, couldn't really didn't have like really any interaction with anybody.
I mean,
And I had it easier than most people. To be
This
honest.
variant is this one from South Africa?
Yes,
Yeah.
This has been-
was discovered in South.
Yeah, labelled as
I mean, it
what,
doesn't
the
really
most
matter where it came
dangerous.
from.
I'm not
Yeah.
sure. It was very.
I think
unconcerning.
it's been labelled as I think the most
Well, the
dangerous.
media's
COVID.
laid it as the most
Yeah,
dangerous.
well-
So.
never
Um,
trust anything the media says.
No.
Well, not necessarily, because that's a bit of misinformation, and not trust the media is just as bad as the actual false lies.
Yeah, just be
That's
careful
true.
with media intake.
Yeah,
Is a false
In
lie a
general.
truth?
I've effed up the word, but anyway, yeah, like, I don't know. I think what the final question we've got on our little PowerPoint is: will the British public tolerate another lockdown? And that's a no. I don't think people are going to tolerate it at all. I don't think they're going to enjoy it.
Well,
I think it'll be a very negative thing for Boris.
It's hard to
Johnson
say the British public as a whole, but there's different, of course, because there's different demographics in different areas. I know, like where I live, there's like quite mixed opinions, but the average consensus was just go along with the lockdowns. People know more than we do,
for the first lockdown.
oh, and even in the second, like
No, because we were sold the idea in the first lockdown: if we do this, it'll be all over and it's fine.
Yeah,
But as it went on and on and on,
But then in other areas,
But
like
let's for a second. Sorry, good. But let's for a second just put ourselves in the shoes of Boris Johnson now. He's got to make a decision. He's got to make a decision, but he's got to make a decision, and he knows that he's going to become very, very unpopular if he locks the country down again. Will he, faced with that choice, will he do what's right or will he do what's going to make him popular?
I don't know, because he's
I mean, all Boris is popular.
yeah,
exactly. But strangely, this really fast mask and whatever rules that have come in, I've heard a bit of opposition from the usual sources, but I don't think it's been outwardly really negative. I think this has been quite popular.
They've acted quite quickly in terms.
I think
of,
it's a shock. It's a shocker for
This
them
has
to
been
act
like,
so quickly.
yeah, I'm really surprised. It's the fastest I have ever seen a government react to anything in my entire life, and I'm not even exaggerating.
But no, genuinely, like this is what we should have had. 2020.
Yeah.
I mean, it's fine. It's good we've got there, and let's keep this trend up of acting fast. But like,
Yeah, let's see if it lasts for more than one
But yeah,
turn.
I think in regards to the question though, absolutely not. I think there's far too much resentment towards it now.
it's the idea of a
People-
lockdown.
Yeah, COVID. In many people's opinions, COVID's just over, and they just even if it still exists, it's over. They just
The
want to
thing
live
is-
their
the
lives.
thing
now.
is, though,
and I
it's-
do understand that.
It's not though, because I think there's like cases are just still insanely high. I think
And
higher
also,
than
the
first
cases are
lockdown.
highest amongst unvaccinated people. So,
like you.
Like me. Actually, by the time this podcast is out, it won't be. So screw you all. You can't.
Outdated information.
Yay! We have all those little tags at the
Now
bottom.
you
of
have
the
to be
video saying it's
really
cool.
sure you get that
I
vaccine.
will.
eh?
I'm going to tomorrow.
But anyway, I think to finish my point from earlier, different areas, because in the UK we have a very diverse population, and I know like in some areas there's a big distrust for the government as a whole. So when like lockdowns,
To be fair, rightly so.
yeah. So when the first lockdown was announced, like in some areas just immediate distrust and immediate just refusal. However, while in other areas, going along with government. So I think the British public as a whole, it's made up of all these different people who have like clashing ideas, and that it causes negatives.
Yeah,
in the long
as it
run.
does in any
Yeah.
country,
Just
I
another
suppose.
polarising opinion is going to fuel the divide of society we see in every aspect nowadays, which is not fun.
Fun.
But should we move on? Any other points
Yeah.
about the wonderful COVID? No? Okay. So Keir Starmer, as we speak, is reshuffling the shadow cabinet. Nothing really much is about that, but there's... I don't really know, actually. You
Yeah.
did the research on this, Arthur, if you'd like to...
Well, apparently, the deputy leader of the Labour Party, Angela Rayner, has been left in the cold over the reshuffle. She was, according to her spokesperson, she was informed that the reshuffle was taking place, but didn't know any of the details. And first of all, that's a bit strange. Why is the deputy leader not informed on these decisions? There's no chance of her being removed as the deputy leader because she was voted into that position. So she actually can't be removed as the deputy leader. But it's just a bit confusing as to why she isn't involved in the decision making process.
Because Keir Starmer wants to run the Labour Party the way he wants to win it so they can win an election.
Pragmatic leader.
Exactly, which is,
Which is not what Labour stands for. They stand for ideology, or at least should. But in recent years, have been drifting
since
more
Blair,
towards.
really.
I've been drifting more towards pragmatism.
Anyway, sorry, let's not into what Arthur's...
Continuing with the reshuffling of the cabinet though. Nick Thomas Simons. Does that name mean anything to anybody?
Nope.
Well, you
Don't
might
mean
not know
something to
this.
him.
He's the Shadow Home Secretary, but you never hear anything from him.
Foreign Secretary.
He is the Shadow Home Secretary.
Oh,
Actually, that's wrong.
That's not
he is the
right,
Shadow
sorry.
Home Secretary. And he's pretty useless, to be honest. You don't ever really hear much from him. So I think it's good that he's going, and he's going to be probably going. It's not confirmed yet, but he could be replaced by either Emily Thornberry or Yvette Cooper, who are both more prominent figures within the Labour Party and who are got bigger history in the shadow cabinet. And I think would ultimately do a better job. So I am glad if that does happen.
Should we have a little, what do people think of the Shadow Cabinet? I don't think it's got much purpose.
I forgot it existed.
Well, it's supposed to be in direct opposition to the government,
Yeah,
the
I
cabinet,
which-
and the shadow cabinet.
Yeah,
Which is
but-
just stupid.
So I don't think it's stupid. I think
I think me and Joe
well,
were talking before we started filming how in around 2016 it was very relevant because we would hear everything. There'd be big news every week, or every day really.
Well, up until the end of Brexit.
Yeah, and we thought then it was more relevant, more heard about. But now I think it's kind of drifted out of its
Yeah.
The shadow cabinet.
relevance. Sorry.
The shadow cabinet you're talking.
Yeah. I generally think if they were more honestly, I'm not saying it's a bad thing. I think it's a brilliant idea to have a shadow.
I think it's a good idea.
Across the opposition having some form of authority in different ministerial positions, but they have no authority in different ministerial positions. It's literally just saying, "Hi, if I was in charge, I'd do this," which nobody actually listens to because that's called an election campaign. And if they had some sort of, if they had the, shadow foreign secretary's office on the offshoot of the foreign secretary, and it actually had some more. I think the trouble with our system is once a party wins, I don't know who said this, but you've elected your own dictator for 4 years. There's no room for cross-party cooperation, even in a coalition. There's not much room for cross-party cooperation, and I think stuff like the shadow cabinet could really be vitalised to make our democratic system better. I don't exactly know how because I've not really thought about it, but but I feel like it could. It could.
Yeah, and I'm thinking the shadow cabinet fuels the thing I was complaining about last week, which was how all that the parties do is oppose each other, and that seems to be their only purpose. And it's as I say, it's about getting two Falcon 9s, welding the ends together, and then trying to go to space. You can't because the two fiery things are pointing outwards. And if you've done basic physics, that doesn't work.
Apologise for the people who have no idea what he's talking about.
I've put this in a simple.
Yeah, I
term.
didn't understand.
Rocket goes this way, rocket goes this way, boom.
Yes.
Oh, that made more sense than you said.
It's like getting two cars and
I'm
driving them
not
into
that
each other.
smart. I apologise.
You are. Well, anyway, yeah.
Physics.
But like,
I hate
Anyway,
physics,
that's another.
that's another political
physics.
topic for the other day.
Yeah,
Physics. Oh, damn physics.
Damn leftists and their physics.
But yeah, just it is. Yeah, there's no cooperation, and unfortunately, it's another point of the downfall of our democratic system.
Do they need to have cooperation?
Yes.
Because they were elected with a big mandate that the people wanted them to govern and not
Yes,
the opposition.
but no.
Therefore, they
But in
should
our
be allowed to do
system,
that.
there is a not majority, because obviously you have to get a majority, but there's a significant chunk of the population who wanted the other thing.
Should we talk about that? The fact that when there's a majority government, which most of the time there is, it's almost like they have a chokehold over.
Yeah,
Decision making.
because the majority of the
And
exactly
that's a bad thing.
But
if more people wanted them to be in power, then surely they should make the decisions.
But then-
I don't
but
understand.
you have
first
full-
past the post.
And you
Yeah,
have-
I know that's a whole different argument, but at the same time,
yeah, but
But
I don't think that's
you
what
can't say that people want them to be in power when first past the post exists.
Yeah.
Because
yeah,
that's
I
not.
suppose so.
It's like the two ideas are very discordant. You can't have one where there's a majority government making decisions where they have the decision making power, and also first past the post.
Like if we cross over to the glorious Federal Republic of Germany and see all the brilliant things they do in government with the cooperation, like what
Well, yeah, there's
FDP, Greens, and Liberals.
This is
That in my eyes,
advertisement for Germany.
SPD.
SPD. Well, I mean, yeah, I mean,
The government's just taken
I
place,
think
hasn't it?
Germany has a perfect democratic system. I mean, okay, perfect's a strong word, but I think
It
it's
is
considerably
quite-
better than every other democratic system in the world.
In comparison to the UK, which is like here, Germany's like here, and then perfect's like slightly past that.
Yeah, but seriously,
Well,
Like,
that's the
we
question.
can't
Is
see-
democracy perfect?
From down here, we
no.
can't see the difference. It's like looking at Mount Everest and seeing the difference between Everest and a person standing on top of it.
but still, yeah, it is. It's better, and I think it allows for better. It allows for more content and trust in the government because you always have some form of representation, and it's a more pluralist approach because there's so many parties constantly going in and out of power, and all sorts of stuff. And I think that will be better. I think what we fail to do in this country is look for the common interest, especially amongst the parties of Labour, Green, the SNPs, the Welsh one I can't pronounce the name of. The policies are varied, but quite the same. And if we look at obviously we can't look at the percentage of votes for left party compared to the Conservative Party because it's not exactly accurate. But the movement again, like the Conservatives, even though they have a majority, there is more support. I mean, it feels like there's less support for them.
Yeah.
Like I'm kind of going on a big rant here about our democratic system, but like
Well, we did discuss
I mean,
the systems of
so
voting in the previous. topic,
So
didn't
I feel like if we made the shadow cabinet make sense, then that would be the first step towards having a system of government that makes sense.
yeah,
And like what, as you say, having all the parties not work directly against each other, making no forward progress.
like I think the idea. I mean, conservative is not changing things here. Being the conservative way we have our democracy, how we haven't changed it for God, I don't know how many hundreds of years.
We still have like the weird,
Yeah,
like basically almost cultist like routine that we follow.
Yeah, but
it's ridiculous.
if we do some simple reworks, we can really make it better. A lot
Well,
better.
I think though, if you're gonna say that about the shadow cabinet, you might as well then do a whole reform. Get rid of the House of Lords. Get rid of a ton of things, which I agree
Yes.
with.
Yes.
But then
Yeah, yes.
that's a lot of work which wouldn't happen because how are you gonna sell that to people?
Oh, I don't know. Well,
yeah,
we'll see when I run for Prime Minister, everyone.
Okay, and on that note,
Yeah,
we are going to end the fifth episode of the Snowflakes podcast. Thank
Thanks
you
for
all
watching.
very much for watching. You
Social medias, Snowflakes Podcast, on pretty much everything. Subscribe,
It's in the
like,
description. It's always in the description.
and I can say because they
Fine.
can know.
And
but
have we
Yeah,
started
I-
uploading TikTok clips?
Not yet.
That's
Stay
something to
tuned
look
for that.
forward
YouTube
to.
Shorts, that whole thing. Get the views
no,
up.
okay.
Yeah,
Thank you,
for
everybody.
watching.
Thanks for watching.
See you
Bye.
next week.
Complain about the losing dislike buttons.